Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. It's Friday, July 29th, 2022. Well, it's still official. The U.S. is in recession, but not according to the Biden administration or anyone else for that matter on the left, including Paul Krugman and Wikipedia. Also, U.S. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi provokes another conflict with her proposed visit to the island nation of Taiwan as China prepares its client state, North Korea, for nuclear conflict with the United States. The truth begins to come out about the extent of corruption involving Joe Biden and his criminal influence peddling family. But first, I'm going to talk a little bit about Libertarian Populism. Visit libpop.org. Sign up. Help start a new political party. If you're against authoritarianism and elitism, then Libertarian Populism is for you. And while you're there, check out the store for the new Liberty t-shirt, Liberty Bell. So the word of the week, I should say, is recession.
A period of reduced economic activity.
From Merriam-Webster, they say it's a period of reduced economic activity. Well, that period has been identified for some time now as 2 consecutive quarters of reduced economic activity, but not according to Joe Biden, his administration, anybody on the left, or in fact Wikipedia. This is from the Daily Mail. Wikipedia joins in the gaslighting. Online encyclopedia suspends edits to its recession page after users scrambled to change definition to match Biden's claim that the U.S. is not in one. The story goes on to say the page was altered at least 47 times over a roughly 24-hour period, with an administrator locking unregistered users out until August. The edit freeze comes as members of the Biden administration have tried to argue that the country is not in a recession by casting doubt on the word's definition. A recession is commonly agreed upon the 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth. So this is from USA Today. Biden rejects recession label, declares nation is on the right path despite shrinking economy. The nation is not on the right path. And now people are starting to agree that this decline seems to be done on purpose. It seems like all the policy decisions that are being made by this leftist administration is making things worse for the country. On any metric, nothing has improved. The Wall Street Journal reports the problem with inflation, it often doesn't exist. Neither the Fed nor investors seem worried about inflation, and they are probably right. Now, this is an article from 2019, and I found a few of these here with people talking about inflation not existing. And so if you don't believe inflation exists, well, why not create more money? Does inflation still exist? This is from Forbes. Does anyone really know? Again, this is from May of 2020. This is from, they quote Milton Friedman here. Inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon produced only by a more rapid increase in the quantity of money than in output. This is from CNN Business. Inflation basically does not exist, by Paul LaMonica. This is from December 2014. If you still have one of those whip inflation now buttons lying around from the 1970s, you can probably throw it away. Inflation pretty much doesn't exist. And this is from Reddit, from Wall Street Bets. Reddit has spoken. Inflation doesn't exist. This is from 16 days ago. If there are any search results for inflation, Does it even exist? Look like there aren't any results for inflation. Try double checking your spelling or searching for a related topic. Joe Biden administration, Joe Biden economic policy. Then you would find something on inflation. Moving on to the next story here. So, U.S. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi wants to visit Taiwan, which I'm not necessarily against, but the actions now seem strange, specifically from the Democrats. Why would one of the leaning Democrats decide to visit Taiwan now when the Biden administration's foreign policy is in such disarray and when China's saber rattling seems to be increasing? So this is a story, actually, an opinion piece by Gordon Chang from the 24th. On Tuesday, China's foreign minister threatened to take resolute and forceful measures to defend national sovereignty and territorial integrity should House Speaker Nancy Pelosi travel to Taiwan. The warning came immediately after the Financial Times reported that the speaker had scheduled a trip there sometime next month. Pelosi's office has declined to comment on the matter. The speaker had planned to go to Taipei in April, but postponed after testing positive for COVID. Beijing issued harsh words at the time and regularly condemns visit by Americans and other officials to the island republic, which it claims as its territory. And that's the problem. It's the territorial integrity of mainland China. And if people don't know if folks don't know their history, Taiwan was the free, non-communist Chinese led by Chiang Kai-shek during the Communist Revolution there, who fled to the island nation after they failed to beat back the communists on the mainland. And a little more about that history is the United States supported the nationalist Chinese led by Chiang Kai-shek against the communists, but there seems to have been in history that the U.S. Committed some sort of a double cross in terms of supporting Chiang Kai-shek. And if you want to research that a little more, you should look into it. It seems like the CIA, or the precursor of the CIA, the OSS, started backing the communists there towards the end of the revolution. But that's speculative, of course, but if you research it, you're going to find out a little tidbits. Or if you look into the John Birch Society, who John Birch was and why he died while in China during that same period, you start to reveal a few interesting little tidbits. So moving on, this is from the New York Post from the 29th. China escalates warnings to U.S. on Nancy Pelosi's possible trip to Taiwan. The behind-the-scenes rhetoric was significantly stronger than the threats Beijing has made previously regarding the U.S. interaction with Taiwan, the Financial Times first reported. And there's a picture of Nancy Pelosi. While China has long insisted that Taiwan is part of its territory, the U.S. has maintained a policy of strategic ambiguity, acknowledging Beijing's claim but not endorsing it. This is the one China policy. Basically, the U.S. leaving the door open to say, free Republican values or non-communist stance might be abandoned. This is from the Western Journal. China vows forceful measures against the U.S. due to Nancy Pelosi's trip. And from the Washington Times, North Korea's Kim Jong-un threatens U.S. South Korea with nuclear attack if conflict erupts. Now, people have to pay more attention to this than Nancy Pelosi. And in this article by Mike Glenn from the 28th, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un threatened to launch nuclear weapons against the United States and South Korea if the event of the conflict with the two countries that he considers his most bitter foes. Mr. Kim unleashed a barrage of fiery rhetoric as he praised aged veterans from the Korean War in a Wednesday speech clearly intended to evoke national unity as this country contends with the twin challenges of COVID-19 pandemic restrictions and crippling economic sanctions. He said he's fully prepared to resort to nuclear warfare. He accused Washington of aggravating tensions on the Korean Peninsula, saying the arrogant nature of the U.S. has remained unchanged. Well, what people have to realize is North Korea is a client state of China, and whatever happens with North Korea or what Kim Jong-un says can be and should be directly related to Chinese foreign policy. So it's no surprise that this erupts, or the statement comes out, because of the Nancy Pelosi desired trip to Taiwan, to Taipei. Moving along to the Hunter Biden escapade from New York Post again from the 29th. Hunter Biden's biz partner called Joe Biden the big guy in panicked message after Post's laptop story. Oh, this is from the 27th, excuse me. One of Hunter Biden's former business partners referred to Joe Biden as the big guy in a panicked message the same day the Post broke news of the infamous laptop from hell left behind at the president's son. So a lot of people have been talking about this guy, James Gillier, a former British Special Forces officer, which is bizarre, with ties to UK intelligence services, discussed the Post exclusive report with an unnamed person on October 14, 2020, according to the message provided by the whistleblower to GOP congressional investigators probing the laptop. In the message, Gillier, 58, reassured the person that the revelations about Biden's apparent involvement in the son's foreign deals would not be damaging regardless of the outcome of the 2020 presidential election. Gillier asked if Hunter and Joe, or Joe's campaign, would try to make it, oh, we were never involved, and try to basically make it collateral damage. This is from the National View. At least 14 of Hunter Biden's business associates met with Joe Biden despite presidential denial. And this story is from the 28th. Records show Joe Biden met with his son's business associates from U.S., Mexico, Ukraine, China, Kazakhstan during his vice presidency, according to Fox News. The president has repeatedly denied to have any knowledge of his son's overseas business dealings. Well, the cracks are beginning to show here that the fact is that there was an influence peddling scheme, much like what the Clinton Foundation was doing. And the Bidens just picked up on what the Clinton Foundation was doing, and they tried to make their own. And just a blast from the past, who is Tony Bobulinski, Hunter Biden's former business associate? Bobulinski identified himself as the CEO of Sinohawk Holdings, and this article is back from October of 2020. Tony Bobulinski, former business associate of Hunter Biden, said Wednesday night that he can confirm details regarding his son's overseas business dealings, including a reference to a big guy in a May 13, 2017 email, did in fact refer to Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden. So this is 2 years ago, folks. In a lengthy statement, Bobulinski identified himself as the CEO of Sinohawk Holdings, a firm he described as a partnership between the Chinese operating through Chairman Yi and the Biden family. He added that Hunter Biden and James Gillier, another business association, brought him on as CEO of the venture. Hunter Biden called his dad the big guy, or my chairman, and frequently referenced asking him for his sign-off or advice on various potential deals that we were discussing. Bobulinski said, I've seen President Biden saying, or Vice President Biden saying, he never talked to Hunter about his business. I've seen firsthand that that's not true, because it wasn't just Hunter's business. They said they were putting the Biden family name and its legacy on the line. The fact of the matter being is that this guy came out on an interview before the election. This is a live witness personally corroborating the information on the laptop, and no one paid any attention to it. Not a person. I talked to people all over before the election. Nobody heard of Tony Bobulinski, and a lot of people didn't even know about the laptop. And subsequently, after the election, a lot of people even said, I didn't know about any laptop. So if they didn't know about the laptop, why would they care about Tony Bobulinski. And people didn't know what the hell Trump was talking about in the last debate when he was calling Joe Biden the big man. You're the big man. This is from the Washington Examiner from October 2020. You're the big man. Trump accuses Biden of benefiting financially from Hunter's foreign business dealings. President Trump knocked former Vice President Joe Biden during the final presidential debate over recent news stories tying him to his son Hunter's business dealings in Ukraine. Trump went on to say, "You're the big man, I think. Your son, we have to give 10% to the big man, Joe." What's that all about? It's terrible. All of these emails, the horrible emails of the kind of money that you were raking in, you and your family, I think you owe explanation to the American people. This was in the final presidential debate, and nobody knew what the hell he was talking about. And here it comes full circle, just like everything else with Trump. They lie, and they cheated. And even in that same debate, Trump said that the Democrats are going to cheat the election. Nobody pays any attention. Alex Jones was right. Trump was right. Anybody who was reading at the time knew what the hell was going on. But, you know, it's unlikely. All right. Don't forget, libpop.org. Libpop.org. Libertarian Populism. Go there, sign up. Let's start a new political party. Put pressure on the GOP. If you're against authoritarianism and against elitism, sign up for Libertarian Populism. Stop by the store, get a shirt. And we'll see you next week. We'll see you Monday. Rudy's Revelation.
This is a conspiracy.